Hey everyone, it's Lisa Morton here with another installment of Halloween History 101. Today I am pulling another one of my vintage noisemakers. I love noisemakers and they're one of the things that I most like to collect. It is this particular one right here, which is unusual for a couple of reasons. First of all, you will notice that this is a two-sided noisemaker. At the top, we have a frying pan style clapper, and at the bottom, we have a horn, which means that a little rowdy Halloween person could have made twice as much god awful noise. Let me give you a sample of the clapper and the horn. Now, this would date to the early part of the 20th century. You will notice there is no plastic on this, it's all metal and wood. And it thus predates trick or treat. Now, I don't want to actually talk about that today. What I want to talk about is how I acquired this piece. I bought this in an auction from a gentleman named Mark Ledenbach. Mark Ledenbach is a kind of almost celebrity figure within Halloween collecting circles. What's interesting about Halloween collecting is that this was not really a thing until about the 1990s. Up until that point, you could go to something like a flea market or an estate sale, and you could buy these pieces pretty cheaply. They were easy to find. I know that that's kind of when I started collecting, and thank goodness because I got a few of my favorite pieces for affordable prices back then. But then in the 90s, a lot of things kind of started to shift about Halloween. It was the decade when the holiday started to be studied more seriously by writers and scholars like Leslie Bannatyne and Jack Santino. It was when the first batch of collector's guides came out. These were by people like Stuart Schneider and Pamela Apkarian Russell, and it was also the decade when there were things like the collectibles market and art. Halloween art was suddenly catching on really in the 90s. So, Mr. Ledenbach has a fabulous website that you might like to go take a look at. You'll see the address on your screen there. He also sells his own book, which features art by one of my favorite artists, Matthew Kirst, and he holds a yearly auction. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably too poor to afford a lot of the things in the auction. Some of them go for thousands of dollars, but it's always fun to look at the things that go into Mark's auction because some of them are absolutely gorgeous and astonishing. So I highly recommend a Halloween visit or any time of year for that matter to his website. This is Lisa Morton, and I hope you will join me again for another episode of Halloween History 101.